You want to know the 5 tracks that you need to hear on Drake's Certified Lover Boy? It still sounds ridiculous saying that title. Then you're in the right place. Up first then, and it is Way Too Sexy. No, I couldn't even finish that sentence. I'm just fucking with you. Nobody needs to hear Way Too Sexy, but unlucky, you're gonna hear it. It's fine. I mean, it's a bit of a war crime, but it's fine. The first real song that I think that you need to hear on Certified Lover Boy, it's actually In the Bible, a track that I haven't heard that many people talking about. It's track 4 on the album, In the Bible, with Lil Durk and Giveon. The thing that this track brings so well is tone, it's depth, it's those 808s. They're so warm and rich, and the production throughout Certified Lover Boy really is quite spectacular, but here it really comes into its own. It's not necessarily a song with the greatest amount of depth, and you can argue that there's not a lot of depth on this album. I think that would be a fair argument to make. In terms of the soundscape that a track like this is producing, I think it's a necessary listen. Lil Durk delivers another excellent verse, 2 in a week from him, after delivering On Donda. But perhaps my favourite part of this track, actually my favourite part of this track, is when Durk talks about doing a thing on TikTok and then just starts humming. Well, a fly just flew in my room, but don't worry about that. I think my favourite part of the track is actually Giveon's moment. The beat is pulled back and he has just allowed time for his voice to just shine. I love the lyrical content of what he's talking about, and while it's not the best track on the album, I do think it's one that just gets better with every listen. Up next then is the 6th track on the album, Fair Trade with Travis Scott. Honestly, I think this will be the song that gets the most repeat play from me over the years, just because every single part of it is so deliciously well made. Now you see that title, Fair Trade, and you're thinking, oh, Drake's actually getting involved in like sustainable, eco-friendly, ethically sourced food. No. In fact, I've seen a lot of things going around on Twitter recently about how people were disappointed that Drake's not talking about issues, about real world things that have been happening. Be careful what you wish for in life. I don't think anybody really actually truly wants the reality of Drake talking about pretty much anything other than himself. But that's exactly what he's doing here, once again, talking about losing friends, trust issues, standard Drake fare, but just his choice of melody, the beat selection, the atmosphere it creates, the fucking excellent Travis Scott feature which sort of expands the song. It's almost like an inverted sicko mode. The hook is killer, that central caption line about losing friends and finding peace, but it sounds like a fair trade to me. Killer. It will be played for years and years and years. Love this track. Right, my next 3, it's kind of the Drake that I really enjoy. It's Drake spitting. Starting with Pipe Down, which just has an absolutely glorious beat. It's the type of beat that's almost reminiscent of Devil in a New Dress from Kanye. Not at that level. Don't get me wrong, don't get mad in the comments. Not at that level, nowhere near. Lyrically, nowhere near that level as well. But Drake is just starting to spit on this track, talking about situations in a relationship, someone he's let down, someone he's been let down by. Again, it's one of those things that's not massively relatable to anybody unless you happen to be Drake, but he's manages to make it sound relatable just because he has an ability to do that. Full of captions, real gorgeous tone again, production on point, one that I definitely recommend. Okay, the next one, you knew this one was coming. It is 7 AM On Bridle Path, the Kanye West diss, I guess you could call it. But really, apart from that, William is definitely on there. But the best thing about this song is just Drake's pen. He is absolutely spitting at the highest possible level. His wordplay, his lines, his punchlines, his cadence, his schemes, everything that you could want, everything that you know that he's capable of, and sometimes he just has to remind us that he's capable of that still, and he absolutely delivers here across an amazing beat as well. And it's just one of those tracks that keeps delivering and delivering and delivering. And if you haven't heard it, yes, he does definitely talk specifically about Kanye West here, and obviously since then he dropped one of Kanye West's tracks, the track with Andre 3000, which everybody says is better than anything on CLB, so maybe that was a little bit of an L, but you have to think maybe that was some sort of long-term tactical move. Who knows what the fallout from that is going to be, but regardless, in terms of a diss track, I don't think it's the greatest in the world, but it's always interesting to hear artists at that level talking about one another, it always is. But just in terms of Drake as a rapper over this kind of beat, honestly, I'll never get tired of it because he is that capable, he is that good. When he's on point like this, it's hard to touch him. Pause. And finally, the 5th track is actually the last track, track 21, The Remorse. Once again, Drake spitting over a very, very pleasant beat. It's exactly what you kind of want from a Drake album. I think some people wanted a whole album like this, or to Drake to evolve into different styles, and I get that, but I do think you need the kind of poppier stuff, the R&B stuff, to make it a Drake record. Once again, production amazing. But what's interesting about this one, it actually ties like a nice through line through the record, because this record, I mean, he says it himself, Drake has said this himself, it is sort of a story of toxic masculinity, but also the consequences of that, whether it be sort of internal psychological consequences or real world consequences of that. So you could argue that it is actually about something. Difficult to justify that point when you're listening to Way Too Sexy, but never mind. On here, there is substance to this track, because it is Drake talking about, and also in the previous track, Fucking Fans, it's Drake talking about his remorse. I mean, that's what the song was called. And here he kind of gives thanks to his team, quite specifically, but sort of ties it in with feelings of guilt around it, because he knows full well that he wouldn't be where he is without the people around him, but perhaps at times he doesn't feel like he's treated those people well enough. Now, you could ask those people, they may say that Drake's absolutely amazing, he's got nothing to apologise for, but at the same time, I think, yeah, Drake knows exactly what has brought him to the dance and beyond the dance, into a new dance, into a completely incomparable level of dance. And this track is actually nice to hear Drake talk a little bit like this. I wouldn't want it to go too much further with Drake getting really, really, really deep into breaking down his own psyche, because I think we're up for a mess. To be honest, we don't want to go there. I honestly don't think, because it's too crazy. But this is an album closer. This is something to kind of tie the knot on this album, to really give it a bit more substance than perhaps it first seems. I think is excellent, and I do enjoy the album a lot. Guys, let me know your favourite tracks, let me know what you're adding to your playlist, let me know what you're spinning if you're listening to the album a lot, and I'll catch you very soon, right? Bye.